Hi everyone, it's Stacy. Thank you for coming on this yoga leap with me. Welcome back to anyone who's been practicing with me for a while. Welcome to anyone new finding the videos for the first time. You can see I have my chair here and I've got my mat set up there as well. So just like normal today, I will be moving between the chair and the mat and trying to give appropriate cues for either. If you are on one or the other and you're waiting for me to cue you, by all means, just find a pose that's comfortable or stay in the one you're in. Find a few breaths and I'll get to it as soon as I can. With that being said, we're going to start standing today or seated in the chair. And if you have any other props you like to use when you are practicing, like blocks, straps, pillows, bolsters, blankets, anything like that, go ahead and grab them now and I'll meet you back on the mat or chair. So if you're in your chair, go ahead and find a nice tall seated position. We're going to start standing today, and then we're going to make our way down. We're going to be mostly kind of focusing on stretching out hips and legs, and just if you joined me last week, we did a big strong warrior series. It was a lot of strength in the legs, so we're going to try and stretch it out today. So yeah, finding a nice comfortable seated position in the chair, back nice and tall, hands can rest on your lap, and if you're standing on the mat with me, you can be at the front of your mat facing the short edge of the mat. I'm just turned to face the camera a little bit here. Find it comfortable about hip width distance for your feet. Maybe start there. Let's just rock back and forth on the feet. You can do this in the chair as well. Lift and spread the toes. Really feel all four corners of the feet connect. So imagine pressing down through the big toe, baby toe, and the heel. Maybe that's three corners. And then when you do that, you'll feel a bit of engagement through the thighs. Try to imagine you're spreading the feet out wide, and you'll feel all that engagement in the legs and the hips. It'll give you a nice strong foundation. Pull the belly in, tilt the hips under. Let's roll the shoulders back as well and soften through the knees. This is our strong mountain pose. Let's stay here for a few breaths. We always want to think about our foundation, our feet holding us nice and firmly on the mat or in the chair. The other thing to think about if you're in the chair is the connection of the seat to the chair, your seat, the back of your legs, the glutes, and feel that connection as well. But let's not use the mat or the chair to make us feel soft. Let's find a bit of strength in our opening posture here. And if it's comfortable, go ahead and close the eyes. If not, maybe just turning the gaze down. Find a nice, soft, still place to rest the gaze. And we'll turn our attention inward to our breath, noticing where the breath is flowing freely, noticing where it's maybe getting stuck in places, and that's okay, we're just noticing. Maybe noticing if the breath is low in the belly or a little bit higher up in the heart space. Notice if we're feeling the breath in and out through the nose. And as we are here in a bit of quiet reflection, maybe setting an intention for our practice or creating a little motto or mantra. So it can be anything, something simple like I am present, something simple but quite deep like I am, something like I'm going to listen to my body, or something like today I'm going to challenge and just see if I can take things a little further. So any kind of little motto or mantra you can set for yourself. Along with breath work, it's a tool to help bring us back to the presence. We can focus on our time here on the mat. Let's put aside thoughts of yesterday, of tomorrow, all the, oh, I wish I had, and the to-do lists. Let's put those aside for a moment. Check back in with our strong mountain pose. Are we rooting through the feet? Are our legs strong, knees soft, bellies engaged? Let's roll those shoulders down and back for another few breaths. Maybe even a couple of deep breaths in and out through the nose. Maybe a couple of cleansing breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. And then if we feel ready, let's open the eyes, just re-engage with the space around us, start to notice the things we can see now. We've been noticing the things we can feel. Bring in a couple of the other senses. What are we seeing around us in our space? What are we hearing around us in our space? Maybe even do a little bit of echolocation. So what can you hear that sounds really close? And then quieting the mind a little bit, and what can you hear in the distance? So just waking up all of our senses. Let's start to bring a bit of movement now to the breath. Let's just inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. Exhale back down to our sides. If you're in the chair, it's the same movement. Inhale to sweep up. Exhale, lower. Inhale. And exhale. One more here. Let's take a big inhale here and see if we can grab onto right wrist with our left hand, reach up and over as we exhale. Now stay really rooted down through the feet, stay connected to the seat as we lift up and over and find a side stretch. We'll feel this stretch all the way down the side body, even into our hip a little bit, so we're already starting to check in with those hips. You maybe even want to send the hips out to the side, the same side a little bit if that feels okay. Stay for another breath. And then inhale, reach up. Let's exhale to release. Give the shoulders a roll. And we'll go to the other side. Inhale. Let's clasp on to left wrist, right hand, and we'll exhale over to the side. Maybe sending the hips out towards the left. Keeping the heart space facing forward, stay for a few breaths. The gaze can rest wherever feels best on your neck. Root down through both feet and stay for one more cycle. And then let's inhale, reach up, 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 and exhale. Let's bring the hands behind us, clasp the fingers, open up through the heart space. So we can choose to stay lifted like this. Or on our next exhale, after we take a big inhale here, we can fold forward. Now, if you're in the chair, your knees are already nice and bent. If you're standing on the mat, maybe think about bending those knees and really draping the torso over the thighs. Now, my belly's resting right on my thighs, and I'm hinging here. The legs are doing some of the work. The arms are active, reaching up towards the ceiling or maybe towards the back. And if you can't clasp the knuckles, just reach the hands back. Or if that's too much, release nice and easy and just go ahead and ragdoll down. You can grab onto opposite elbows or just let the arms dangle. But really think about a deep knee bend, especially if you're standing, and rest that belly. Stay for a couple more breaths. Shake the head yes or no. And then we're going to roll all the way up. So release the elbows, start to lift the tailbone and roll all the way up. It's okay, we're rounding through the spine here. Shoulders and head are going to come up last. Good, roll the shoulders, take an inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, hands down by our side. I'll turn back to the camera. There we go. All right, let's step the feet wide here. Continue with a bit of warm up for the body. And if you're in the chair, go ahead and step the feet wide as well. If you're seated in the chair, go ahead, you can bring your hands to your thighs or your knees. And if you're standing, we're gonna do the same thing. So let's sink into our squat here, and hands can rest on the thighs. And we're gonna start to inhale through center, and then exhale, twist. We're gonna use the support here of our legs to help dip the right shoulder in, find a twist through the core, and then inhale, center. Let's dip that left shoulder. Inhale and exhale. So flow with your breath. Let's go one more each side. Come up through center. Let's press through the legs. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Let's exhale and sink back into the legs as we draw the elbows down. Now, if you're seated in your chair, you obviously won't be standing and straightening through the legs, but you'll find the nice big breath and arm patterns. Squeeze the elbows, draw them into the sides. Good. Inhale to reach up. Exhale. So this is our moonflower. Option to stay with moonflower, just like this, drawing the elbows in, feeling the strength of the arms and legs, or hinging at the hips here and draw a big circle with the arms, and as if you're scooping up a bunch of sunflowers, creating our sunflower movements. So one or the other, or a combination of these movements. These are big, juicy movements, warming up arms, legs, hips, core, everything. So find a few rounds of breath here. Moving at your own pace, inhaling and exhaling. Let's do 2 more. We'll inhale all the way up. Exhale the hands down, and we'll step the feet back together, and we'll just shake everything out. So hopefully feeling nice and warm now. Let's do a bit of a quadricep stretch while we're standing. So I'm just going to demonstrate in the chair first how to get into this quadricep stretch. So from our chair, we'll turn sideways, and we'll be doing this on both sides. So obviously I'm just demonstrating one side here. Make sure you feel nice and secure in your chair. You may need to scooch to the edge of your chair and step the opposite, whatever leg isn't being supported. In my case, it's my left leg, back. And right away, in this 90 degree, you might already feel a stretch down the front of the quad. Option is to also reach back and grab onto the ankle or foot to increase the stretch here. So this is going to be our quadricep stretch in the chair, or one of the chair options. Another option with the chair is to, of course, use the chair for balance, because if we're standing, all of a sudden we're in a balance pose as well. So we can transfer the weight into one foot, reach back, find a quadricep stretch here. And then the final option on the mat would be to make your way down to the mat, step 1 foot forward, and send the hips forward here. And of course, the option, depending on if we're warm enough, is to reach back and grab for the quadricep here. Now that one might be a bit tense. It's still the beginning of the intense, rather, because it's still the beginning of the class. But I wanted to offer a few options. So I'm going to take a standing option, and I am going to have the chair here just for a bit of support for balance. So if you're with me and you're coming into the standing balance option, transferring the weight into the right foot here. And if you're not using anything for support, have the hands on the hips or at heart center, or wherever it helps you feel most balanced as the weight transfers. Move that chair a bit. And then we're going to lift that left foot up. So I've transferred the weight into my right foot. I'm grounding down. I'm going to see if I can reach back, find that ankle or foot, and then I want to draw the knees back together and try to even out the hips. So we don't want to have the leg winging out. I'm not sure if you can see it with my black leggings against the black wall. But we don't want it winging out to the side. We want to draw it in, try to keep the knees together, and squeeze, sort of tilt the pelvis, find a nice alignment down the side body as well. Get those hips aligned under the ankles, press into the support foot, and then find that quadricep stretch. If it's in your practice to find dancer's pose, go ahead. You can hinge forward, kicking the foot into the hand, reaching the foot up towards the ceiling. We'll also find a bit of a shoulder opening the more we hinge and kick that foot. Now I'm not going to go there today. I'm looking for a quadricep stretch myself. So I'm staying here, finding a couple more breaths. I'm using the chair for support because it's not really about too much balance for me. I'm looking for that nice deep stretch. One more round of breath. And then let's release, maybe kick the foot forward, see if we can cross it over and sit down into a figure 4. And again, I'm using the chair for balance. If you want to omit this and just find a few breaths, go ahead. We are going to come into a few options of pigeon on the floor to stretch out and stretch out the hips in a minute. This was just a nice little transition to balance it out. We're not going to stay here long. One more breath. All right, let's come out of it. Good. Release the foot, step down, shake it out. Now I'm going to move the chair. You can walk around your chair. You don't have to swing your chair all around the room, depending on what type of chair you have. This just helps me stay in frame here, and I have my chair for balance. So now I'm going to transfer that weight into the left foot. I'm going to kick that right heel up, reach back for it. And again, now you can see it's winging out to the side when I did that. So I want to now find my focus and draw the knee in. And if my hip is lifting way up, I want to draw that right hip down as well. Tilt the pelvis under, feel that quadricep stretch. Don't worry if you can't feel it in the hip flexor. This is more for the quads, which is the front of the leg here, the big muscles in the front. Again, option to kick into dancer's pose, keeping that knee close. Don't let it wing out to the side if you're taking that option as well. Dancer's pose will also offer a bit of a chest opener and possibly some balance if you're lifting your arm up off your support of your chair. 2 more breaths. All right, let's release the foot. Don't let it slingshot. With a bit of control, swing it forward and see if we can cross over. Again, we're not staying here for long. This is just to counter that last stretch we did. 2 breaths. And release. Come on up. Shake the legs out. Let it go. Okay. So option to flow through a vinyasa or make your way down to the floor. We're going to continue with a bit more stretching for the hips as we make our way down. I'm just going to skip the vinyasa today and make my way down. I use the support of my chair to get down there. That's great. That's a great option. When we get down onto the floor here, I'm offering up an option of double pigeon. So actually, let's start with single pigeon and work our way up there, because if you didn't take that option of figure 4 when we were standing, you might not be ready for double pigeon. Okay, that's a good idea. Thanks for working through that with me live here on the video. Let's come into a wide leg seated forward fold to begin with. Sit up nice and tall in the sit bones. If you haven't, if you find you're sort of rolling back, you could put a block underneath the sit bones. You could roll a towel or your mat up just to help elevate you and give you that nice tall spine, so you're sitting right on the sit bones here. Pelvis is rolling and toes are pointing up towards the ceiling. If you're in the chair, step the feet wide. We're doing a wide leg forward fold. Here we go. Take an inhale here and start to walk the hands forward, staying with that nice long spine to begin with. So roll the shoulders back. We have a nice long spine. You won't maybe get as far as you think, but we're not headed down here. We're headed out that way. So think about leading with the chest. When you find your edge, which is where you're feeling a nice amount of stretch and sensation, you can stay here for a few breaths. Toes are pointing up towards the ceiling. And then go ahead, if you can melt down, go ahead and round down now here as well. So now, once we've created that length and walked out as far as we can with the flat back, now we'll round down and head down towards the floor. Breathe into the backside body. One more round. And then we'll start to roll up, walk ourselves back up to seated. Let's take our right leg, bring it in, and we'll plant the sole of the foot into the sort of inner thigh area here. Still sitting up nice and tall. We're going to do a little bit of a twist towards the short leg and a side bend towards the long leg. So this will help make sure that we are engaging the side body and not folding forward over the leg, which is also an option, and we'll get there. To begin with, though, sit up nice and tall. As we exhale, twist your body towards the bent leg, the short leg. Reach the left arm along the left leg. Inhale, reach right arm up and over. And you can see that because we've turned our torso towards the short leg, now we're actually side bending down towards the outstretched leg. So keep the heart space towards the front. We're not collapsing in here. We're still doing a side stretch. The side stretch is going to go all the way into the nice sort of outer hip and back area right here. Hopefully we're feeling a nice stretch. Keep thinking about opening the heart space up. Keep thinking about reaching up and over. And keep thinking about grounding down through both sit bones evenly. We have 2 more breaths. On the inhale, let's come on up. And if we can plant the right hand down behind us. If you're in the chair, maybe skipping out on this. If we're on the mat, we're going to press into the extended leg, press into the support hand, lift the hips up as we sweep our left arm up and over. We'll just open up through front side body a little bit here, just again to counter that last stretch. We're not here long, one more breath. And lower down. In the chair, you could go through a couple rounds of seated cat-cow, just opening up through the heart space on the inhale, and then exhaling to round down. We're just opening up through the front side body, so that's an option for the chair. All right, let's switch sides. Let's bring that left foot in, line it up with the inner right thigh, sit up evenly on both sit bones. Take an inhale here through center, twist the body towards the short leg, and now we can see that as we reach our right arm along the right leg, we sweep our left arm up and over, we're in a true side bend. Our heart's not melting down towards the floor, we're open here, side bend. So keep reaching and lifting, keep rooting down through the left side, feel that nice stretch down the sort of upper hip, low back area right in here. We've got 3 more breaths. Find those breaths, find the mantra, the motto that you created for yourself. One more round. And then on the inhale, let's come all the way up. Let's try that opening again if we're on the floor. So plant that left hand, push through the heel, squeeze the bum, use the right hand as a bit of momentum as we lift and open just to counter that last stretch, staying for a breath. And then finding our way back down. Okay, let's try our double pigeon. Now, if we can't come into our double pigeon, we can sit cross-legged and fold forward. We could try lotus or half lotus, any sort of cross-legged posture like this. We're working the outer hips again. If you want to try double pigeon, our fire log pose, as it's also known, we want to stack our shins. So what we're not doing is we're not pulling our heels in towards our body. This is half lotus. You can do this if you want. It's just not the same as fire log. So if we want to try the fire log, the idea here is that these 2 shins are stacked and they look like 2 logs in a fire. So your knee will be over ankle and ankle over knee here. You may find you have a bit of space, and if you do practice with any kind of blocks or props, you could somehow wedge this under, there we go, to support. If it just feels weird or awkward having your knee hanging in space, which is okay, then go ahead and support it with some kind of towel, block, or bolster if you'd like. For me, it's fine. It doesn't bother me that much. It may not bother you. It may or may not get down to that ankle. We want to sit up nice and tall here again, and this might be intense and enough for you as you are. So if you're in the chair, it's going to be hard to get into this position. Let's just do a one leg figure 4. So crossing right ankle over left knee and hinging forward. So left foot on the ground, crossing that right knee over, creating your figure 4. For those of us in our fire log and they're looking for a little bit more, we can start to hinge forward a little bit with a long spine to begin with. It is a micro movement for me. I do immediately feel quite an intense sensation when I hinge forward a little bit, but you can experiment with how far forward you want to go. You can round down as well. I like staying up for this one. Let's stay for a couple more breaths. So nice deep hip stretch. And then we'll come on up. Good. Let's lean back. We'll uncross the legs here, step them wide, and just windshield wiper them just to counterbalance it a little bit. You can do the same in the chair, or lifting one knee in towards the chest and then the other, just creating a little movement. And then we'll set up for the other side. We'll come back to center here, sit up on our sit bones, and this time we'll find our fire logs are stacked in the opposite position. So this time I've got my left leg on top. I'm trying to stack the knees and ankles. I've got a nice space here. If you are in lotus or half lotus, that's fine. It's just a different posture from our fire log. And if you're in the chair, Swap the cross of the legs. This time cross the left leg over the right, plant the right foot on the floor, and you're in your traditional figure 4 in your chair. All right, here we go. This side might feel the same. It might feel different. You may find that you have a little bit more room to hinge forward or less. So find that, again, that edge where you're feeling sensation and stretch and not pain. Let's stay for 3 big rounds of breath. Let's maybe close the eyes if you're comfortable and find that motto, that mantra. I am present, I am breath, I am yoga. One more full cycle here. And then if the eyes are closed, we'll open them up, come back up, work our way so we can lean back to create a bit of space to uncross the legs, and we'll windshield wiper them one more time. All right, let's move over and come into our tabletop position. We'll do a few rounds of cat-cow here. So if you're in the chair, go ahead, find a few rounds of cat-cow. You'll be lifting your belly up towards the sky. If you're on the floor, drop the belly down towards the mat. Look up and tilt the tailbone up. Inhale. And then exhale, round through the spine. Press the mat away. And move with breath. Inhale. And exhale. One more round. All right, let's come to a neutral position on the inhale. And for those of us on the ground, we're going to come into a bit of a dragon pose. So for our dragon pose, we want to step 1 foot forward. So I'm going to step my right foot forward, and then both hands are going to be on the inside of the foot. So we don't have the foot in between the hands. Let's bring both hands to the inside of the foot. And you can even start to walk that. I've got my right foot forward, so you can start to walk that foot out towards the edge of the mat there. And you can start to make some circles here. So you'll start to feel stretch and sensation in the hips, the inner thighs, maybe even the back of the thigh. Try going in the other direction as well. If you're in the chair, just coming back to that wide leg seated pose and doing the shoulder dips or a forward fold. We're really just stretching out the inner thighs here. So option to keep circling or find a bit of stillness in dragon. Let the hips be heavy. You can stay on the hands. You can come up to fists for wrists here if the wrists are sore. You can even make your way down to forearms on the floor or a block. Or if you're feeling like you're ready for even a little bit more, the option might be to climb one hand up to the knee and kind of turn the toes out and find an opening twist here. So pressing that knee away, turning towards that knee, creating a little bit more room for the hips to sink even deeper. So I'm gonna stick with up on my fists here for a bit, and I'm gonna stick with some circles. That's feeling nice for me today. Sometimes you want movement, sometimes you want stillness. And then the last option before we leave here is, of course, to if you're pressed down into your hands, you could even with opposite hands, see if you want to sweep back and reach for that ankle or foot and add that quadriceps stretch in. It's a little intense for me today. I'm skipping out on that. I'm staying in my dragon. We have 3 more breaths. Find one more cycle. And then from here, let's press into the hands, send the hips back just enough so we can sweep that leg back, and then maybe sit back in child's pose. If you're in the chair, step the feet together this time and drape your body over your thighs. ready, we'll lift the forehead, come back through tabletop, couple rounds of cat-cow if we like here, and then we'll get ready for our dragon on the other side. Nice, easy transition, maybe even noticing how different the sides feel since you've gone through the dragon pose on one side. When you're ready, let's take a breath, find neutral spine, step our opposite foot through, and remember, the foot isn't framed by the hands. We're going to bring the hands to the inside of the foot and thigh. And then we're going to start to maybe draw a few circles here. If you're doing circles, switch directions as well. And if you're in the chair, we're back to that wide leg stance, taking inhales through center and dipping down, shoulders into the center. All right, so remember our dragon options are to stick with those circles, to find stillness and just let the hips sink, either on hands, fists, or forearms on the floor or a block. Or if you feel ready, plant that right hand for support, left hand comes up to the knee, turn the toes off the mat and let the hips sink even deeper because you've created a bit more space by sort of pressing the knee open and turning the toes. Option, of course, here is if you're feeling it, you can reach back with opposite hand, reaching for the back foot to add that quadricep stretch in. And you know me, I'm taking it nice and easy today. But you know what, the other thing is each side is different. This side might feel more or less flexible. You might want something different on this side in your dragon, and go ahead, honor that. All right, I'm going to find a bit of stillness here, and we have 2 more rounds of breath. And then let's push into the hands, so come up off the forearms if you're there, just so we can sort of push the mat away, send the hips back, so we can step this foot back. And let's come into a child's pose, either with legs close together or wide, yogi's choice. Find a couple of rounds of breath. From here, let's lift the forehead. We'll come up through our tabletop. We'll roll onto one hip and make our way down to our backside bodies on the mat. Any way that feels safe. You can use your hands for support. You can use your legs as a lever and roll down. You can use one or both legs, whatever feels best. Making your way down. When you get there, draw the knees in towards the chest. Give them a hug. You can sort of rock side to side if that feels good. If you're in the chair, option here is to lift one leg in towards the chest. You may even want to sort of hinge down towards the knee and then the other leg. I mean, this is an option on the floor as well, but if you're here, you might just want to roll the spine into the mat, give it a massage. All right. We're going to do one more variation of outer hip flex, hip stretch, sorry. And there's a couple options I'll demonstrate in the chair in a minute. So if you're on the floor, let's lower the left foot down and we're going to cross that right leg over. We're going to cross it in nice and tight. So really squeeze the legs. Maybe you can even, if you lift that left foot off, cross the, hook the toes underneath. We do want to lift the foot off. And then what we're going to do is start to draw the knees in towards our body and see if we can reach for opposite shins or ankles and continue to kind of draw the knees in towards our chest. So where you'll feel this, of course, is on the outer right hip, the top leg. This is a great runner's stretch. You'll feel it nicely stretching down the side of that top leg. This is sort of a supine cow face pose. So this is our stretch here. Stay here if you're on the floor. If you're in the chair, I'll come up and do a little optional demonstration. So if we're in the chair, option is to do a traditional figure four where we just were, or if we're seated, same thing, cross the legs in tight. You may be able to get your foot around the back, maybe not. And we're just gonna add a little bit of a twist in just to help amplify the stretch a little bit. So rooting down through the sit bones, take a big inhale, twist through the torso. We'll cross our arm over and reach back for the support of our chair just to help us deepen the twist a bit. Or option is to bring the hands to prayer, really connect the thumbs to heart center, turn again towards the top leg, and then we can see if we can hook that opposite elbow over the knee. So we're adding a twist and a bit of a stretch here. So these are our chair options. This is a lovely option, even if you want to get off the floor and come and do this option. You're in the chair and with the hands at heart center, keep pressing, keeping them connected to the sternum. We don't just want to like sloppily come into this posture. So a bit of a twist, bit of a stretch down the side, that's your chair option. If you're on the floor, stick with it. I'm joining you back down here, coming into our reclined cow face pose, feeling that nice stretch down the outer thigh. 2 more rounds of breath. And if you're in the chair, stay with your twist. We're now going to find a twist on the floor here. So just with the knees drawn in, you can uncross them or keep them crossed, whatever works. Just let them fall over towards the right, because that will allow that right foot that's on top to help guide the left knee over. We want to keep both shoulder blades grounded, so open up onto the mat and find the hands in cactus or out along the mat. And now what we're feeling is a stretch down the opposite hip. So if you're in the chair, stay with your twist. If you're on the floor, find your twist for 2 more rounds of breath. And on the next inhale, let's come out of the twist. So with the core strength, let's bring the legs back up through center. Now we can lower them down, uncross them, recalibrate the hips. Take a few rounds of breath here if you like. If you're in the chair, cat-cow. If you're on the mat, maybe roll into that ball again. And then we'll go to the other side. So this time we're going to cross our left leg over. I've already got my right foot lifted, so I'm ready. And going to reach, see if I can grab onto shins or ankles here. Draw those knees kind of up and over the belly in towards the heart center. If you're in the chair, of course, cross opposite leg. Find your twist or your prayer twist. Hooking elbow over knee in the opposite direction. 3 big breaths here. And then when we're ready, we'll find our twist on the floor. If you're in the chair, stay with your twist. So now I'm going to lower that right foot down. I'm going to twist towards the left. I'm just scooching my legs, my hips over a little bit just to make a bit of room, letting the knees fall to the left so that leg can help draw the knee over. Coming into cactus arms, keeping shoulder blades grounded. Find 2 breaths. And then we can all come out of this twist. Those in the chair, those of us on the floor, recalibrate the hips, draw the legs in if you're on the mat, or windshield wiper them, whatever works here, whatever sort of movement you need. And then we're going to move into our Shavasana. So if there's anything your bodies need to do before that, go ahead and do that now. Otherwise, if you're on the mat, option to straighten the legs out along the mat, kind of taking up as much space as you can, bringing arms down by your side as well. If you're in the chair, coming back to that comfortable seated position from the beginning of class, resting hands on the lap. And if it's comfortable, closing the eyes and starting to scan the body. Just notice if there are any areas that you're still holding on to any tension. Try and breathe a little loving kindness that way. Shavasana is the time for our physical and energetic bodies to absorb all that good work we just did and turn it into something magical. It's a time for integration and rest. And know that rest is different from sleep and that we need both every day, and we should never pass up an opportunity to just rest and do nothing. And the beauty of practicing through the lens, of course, is if your body wants or needs to stay in Shavasana for a little bit longer, go ahead and let the video play out or press pause now. And if you're ready to bring a bit of movement back into your body and get on with your day or evening, you can start to wiggle through fingers and toes, circling wrists and ankles, just waking up the body. Maybe rolling over to one side, taking a breath there just before coming into a comfortable seated position and joining us here on the mat or the chair, where we can all finish our practice by taking a big breath together. Inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. Exhale, draw the hands through heart center. They can stay in prayer or rest over the heart space. I want to thank you so much for allowing me into your personal private yoga practice spaces and for allowing me to guide you through these postures today. I hope you have a wonderful week. See you soon. Thanks, everybody. I hope that hip stretching is exactly what you needed. It usually is. I hope you enjoyed that class. Drink lots of water, and I'll see you here again next week. Bye.